All right, calling the meeting to order. Will the commissioners present state their full names?
Barbara Baskerville.
Darcy Rourke.
All right, and I'm Adam Murray, so all the commissioners are here. And then we'll open it up to public comment. If there's anyone from the public that has anything they'd like to speak about today, we have some time set aside for that.
And if you're logged in, you can raise your hand at the bottom of your screen or called in, press *3. And I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Approval of the minutes. Barbara and Darcy, did you guys get a chance to look over the minutes?
I did. I would move that they be approved.
Second.
Okay, and I agree. So the minutes of the November 6th, November 21st, and December 7th meetings are approved. All right, the next thing then is the business process. I took a look at it and I took a stab at redrafting it again, which I know is probably frustrating and annoying for folks, but I couldn't, there were some holes in it that I just couldn't quite get to match up. So I don't know where the best place to start is. If we want to start with what was sent, or if we want to start with well, let's start with what Christine, what you sent us.
Okay,
Kristen, I
one
guess.
second. Okay.
So, yeah, good. Okay, thank you. So as you know, as I keep working on this process, what I'm trying to do is to give effect to both the charter and the code that govern what this commission does, and to also, you know, sort of have a process that is going to flow sort of smoothly. So part of the trouble that I had with this, whoops, with this draft as we have it, Kristen, if you can scroll down a little bit. So here at D, this sets out what's going to happen if the HR director determines that the allegations could result in an ethics violation. But it doesn't really then account for what happens up above in E if the commission decides that the allegations could result in an ethics violation. And then it also kind of isn't clear about when the commission is going to get the complaint and what our process is going to be for dealing with it. And then it also doesn't have a conclusion. So it doesn't, you know, go through all the way to the end of what's required in the code for us to, it's the language of the code again. So we're supposed to decide whether the violation is substantiated and then take action that we deem appropriate, including but not limited to public admonishment, public resolution of censure, or any other action allowed by law. So as I started kind of trying to rework it to get those things in, I ended up with something that's, you know, when it's in track changes, there's a lot of color there. So I'm hoping that what I did makes things easier, but I don't know. But first, I guess before we start looking at the edits that I would propose, I want to check in with Barbara and Darcy and see what you guys thought.
Well, I recognize the same issues that you did, Adam, and so I'm anxious to see your rework.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So Kristen, do you have those Word documents that I sent?
Yes, I do.
Let's go ahead and look at the, well, I have this both in a tracked changes version and in a clean version. Kristen, if you can just throw the track changes version up for a second, I think we'll quickly decide it's easier to work from the other one. If you scroll down a little bit. So I think purple were my changes and the other ones were already in there. So I think that's kind of hard to work with. So if everyone's all right with it, what I'd like to do is to have Kristen put up the clean version of what I did, and then if we could just walk through it and hear, Barbara and Darcy, what you guys think about it, and then we can hear from the county folks if they think that this would work or not.
Sounds good.
Okay, I believe that's what's up here.
Okay. So can you scroll down, Kristen, so that it starts with number 4? Yeah. So essentially what I've tried to do here is kind of preserve what the county folks put in about the HR director, doing an initial review, and then coming up with a conclusion memo. And I also wondered, so then at some point after that process, we get a copy of the complaint. And I wondered if it was possible for you guys at the county to select a number of days that you think that process will take to get through, just so that we don't have a process that doesn't really, have any actual guidance, since we don't really know what timeline things will get done on. That's where the highlighted X is. So I don't know if Kathleen or Christine or Kristen or whoever will be handling that stuff on the county's end. Do you guys have an idea about how long that process might take?
This is Kathleen. So I would anticipate, since this is just the initial review, not an investigation to see if the allegations meet or could meet the ethics in accordance with the law or code, or HR policy, that shouldn't, that shouldn't take more than a day, but I would probably say within a week, just in case our HR director is out of the office. But
Okay.
that initial glance I don't think would take very long at all.
Okay. So Kristen, where that X is then, can you put 7?
Yes, could do that.
And I guess we should say 7. Should we clarify whether it's business days or not?
It feels like it would be 5 business days. But
But if we get it on Friday after hours, and they're out the following week, we may need one more day. So I
That's
think,
true. That's true.
either 10 business days or 7 business days would be helpful.
Okay. I'm fine with either 7 or 10.
Let's do 10, just to be, if
Okay.
you're okay with that.
Yeah. So then, Kristen, if you can scroll down a little bit more so that we start with E. So this is where my idea is to sort of change this process a little bit so that it flows through the various different stages where we might decide whether the allegations did not constitute an ethics violation or if something else has to get done. So the first time we'd come out of the executive session then would be after we're hearing from the county about what the county's conclusion was. And then at that point, I think what we're supposed to do under the code is to have a ruling on the record about whether the allegations constitute an ethics violation, or they do not, sorry, or if there's sufficient cause to warrant an investigation. Is I think what our first decision would be. So then going down below to F and G, what those do is split up those two different possibilities. So if we decide as the commission that the allegations don't constitute an ethics violation, then it's over and the county sends the conclusion memo, and that complaint is handled at that point. But if we rule that there's sufficient cause to warrant an investigation, then it comes back into the stuff that that you guys had put in there about getting the qualified outside agency to do the investigation. But I did change this a little bit so that it's clear that we're going to get a copy of the complaint and we're going to get the report and the recommendation from the investigator, and then also the county's decision. And then at that point, down there in G, two little I's, I guess, is that's where we come out of executive session into the open public meeting, and then there's another ruling, either that the allegations, again, do not constitute an ethics violation, or that we need to hold a hearing.
Excuse me, can I jump in here, please?
Yep.
So this says where a motion will be made, which is a little different from E, that says commission will come out of executive session and make a motion. I'm just wondering if we can change the word make or made to consider or considered, because the commission as a whole does not make a motion. And consideration is what's actually going to happen. So I would change that in both E and in G2.
Okay. So,
Yeah, change that make to consider is what I'm suggesting.
okay. And
Because that's what
consider-
the commission does, and that's the subject there.
Okay, so then would consider whether to rule either.
Consider a motion to rule. What
Oh,
you're
okay, I see.
considering is the motion.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
And I would also say, I like the way it's worded in E, which is active, better than I like it in G2, where a motion will be made. But I don't care as long as you change that to considered.
Yeah, let's do it like we did in E then, so.
Yeah, I agree. So that into the open meeting to consider.
And consider a motion
Right.
to rule.
And consider a motion to rule. Yeah, that makes sense.
So after the word meeting, delete where a motion will be considered. And write, and consider a motion. There, I think that now it's
Yeah.
like E.
Yeah. Okay, so then that then splits the next two sections into the two different options that come out of that. Either we decide that the allegations don't constitute an ethics violation, and then we're back to the matter being closed again and the director sending out the memo. But if we decide that a hearing will be held, then it comes down into capital A, B, C, etc. So Kristen, if you can scroll down so that we start at, I guess, 4 would probably be the Roman 4. Yeah. And then the rest of that is more or less the way that you guys had it at the county, except that I didn't get those recent changes put in there. So that would be in capital B, I think, is where that highlighted language from the most recent version you guys sent out.
Can you hear me? This is Barbara.
Barbara,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you now.
Okay, because it was on my screen saying that I was muted.
Ah,
So here's the highlighted portion you were referring to in the other document.
yeah. Do you want to just copy that and then paste it into capital B? And then I think it'll be up to date.
Were we,
Yeah, capital B.
oh, it replaced what is here?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. There we go.
Ah, formatting.
And let's take,
And then I think Kristen down there where it says at is where that should start
Yep.
the, yeah, capital B.
C.
Yep.
There we go.
And then here we have that language, again, that we should probably change to consider. So I wanted to
Right
check and
here.
make sure, Christine, I think that this is okay, that if we
Just
do have one of these
consider.
hearings,
Instead of
af-
me. I'm sorry. Say again?
At the end of a hearing where we thought there was sufficient cause for the hearing, we can go into executive session to evaluate the complaint under the statute, as I understand it. Does that make sense to you? And then we can come out and consider a motion about what to do about it?
Okay, now, so this is at the future hearing referenced in 4. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so at the hearing, the complainant and the elected official. So I'm sorry, your question is whether OPMA allows what?
The question is whether under capital letter C there,
Yeah,
the first sentence, whether it's okay for us to go into executive session to evaluate the complaint before we come back out to the public meeting and consider a motion about how we're going to rule.
so what I would suggest is that this isn't the conclusion of the hearing. This is a time when the hearing is temporarily adjourned to go into executive session.
Okay. So instead of at the conclusion of the hearing, we might want to put,
At the conclusion of testimony, or
yeah,
That hearing right here where we want to change to testimony.
yeah,
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Leslie, what do you think about that?
Hi, everyone. This is Leslie Lopez. I think I would suggest maybe stating at the conclusion of the evidence, because it could be that maybe the evidence is not just testimony, perhaps. But I don't know.
Yeah, I like
that
that.
makes sense.
At the conclusion of what do you think it could be?
Like written?
Testimony, witnesses, cross-examination, and evidence.
Hmm. How about
What about hearing?
after, no, the hearing continues. So,
If you said something like after the complainant and the elected official have provided their evidence.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, after. Yes,
They have provided evidence.
and do we want to say, and have been? No, I think that's good.
Yeah, but the first part of the sentence is awkward.
Yeah. you
Oh,
take-
yeah.
You could say once
I'd say after,
after the complainant. Yeah. that makes
yeah.
sense.
And that allows the complainant and elected official to respond to any questions from the commission, right? Because their responses would be evidence.
Yeah.
What if you said after the complainant and elected official have finished providing evidence? That's, I mean, it's probably fine the way
Yeah.
it is, but
No, that's good.
More clear.
Oops. It's when everyone's watching me.
I know.
How about the commission will adjourn to evaluate the complaint in executive session?
Okay, I like it.
That's what the process is. Yeah.
And then how does that last sentence sit with you, Christine?
I'm fine with it. I don't know how Kathleen or Leslie feels about it.
it looks good to me.
Yeah, I have no issues with it.
All right. Barbara, Darcy,
I'm good.
I'm
good?
good.
Okay. All right, so then number 5 does pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit more complicated because I wanted to build in the stuff that, some of the extra process that's in there, take account of collective bargaining agreements and things like that. But other than that, I think it's basically the same as the one above. So the first thing that I think needs to change is down there where the X is. And then let me know when everyone's had a chance to get down to F there, and we'll scroll down and take a look at the nuts and bolts. Oh, we need to do the consider language also,
Right.
starting in E, I think.
Oh, we'll consider a motion. That's right.
Yeah.
I had a quick question on C, and I think it's the same C above as well. The director will prepare a conclusion memo outlining the complainant and the director's determination. Do we need to just expand the conclusion memo? Is the initial review, if it could constitute an ethics violation per policy? Because it could be, conclusion memo could be that it could include, you know, the entire investigation, which that's not what this conclusion memo is. This is just that initial review on whether or not it should be investigated.
So say again what you were recommending.
So I'm just looking at what was on the other one. So on C, the director will prepare a conclusion memo outlining whether or not the allegations may constitute an ethics violation.
So, and the director's determination regarding whether the allegations may constitute an ethics violation, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Okay,
And Leslie might have better words for that as well. It just, when I read conclusion memo, I'm thinking that's like the end. And this is actually just the first decision point in the process.
yeah,
Yeah.
Can you
We could-
just
we could-
take out conclusion?
yeah, we could
Yeah,
just take out
that works.
conclusion and then put initial before determination.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. And that probably needs to also be the same on C above. It was the same sentence above, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Did you mean above in like 4C?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Memo, initial determination. Okay.
Oh, it already says that in there.
She just changed it.
Oh,
Think.
Yes, I'm quick.
nice work. Faster than the human eye. Okay, so then, let's see. So then I think we're down to, we can scroll down so that we start with E. So that then flows just like the one up above. After E, you get your two different possible outcomes in F and G. F being that the commission rules that the allegations don't constitute an ethics violation, and then the director sends out a conclusion memo. Or G, we rule that there's sufficient cause for an investigation. And then this is where it's a little bit different because the county process for investigation of an employee would be different. So we have the paragraph in there, G1, about the HR director determining if there's qualified staff or whether to have an outside agency do the investigation. So that's different from up above. And then after that, I think it should all be pretty much the same.
G3 should be changed to, yeah, be consistent with the other ones. I think it's now into the open public meeting to consider a motion.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
And then G4 is again where the matter gets closed. Conclusion memo goes out. G5 is where we decide that there's going to be a hearing. And then, so B again, we'd want to change to the highlighted language.
Okay. Here.
Although that's the elected official one, Kristen.
Oh, that's right. Have it down below.
There, it's not highlighted, but you can see a little bit of highlighting, I think,
Right
scroll
here.
back up. Yeah,
Okay.
at the hearing.
And that's B, correct?
Correct. And then C should be harmonized with what we did up above.
Sorry, in B, you should delete the last sentence now.
Oh, yeah. I think we also need that one to go. It was after, what did we say, after the complainant and the county employee have finished providing evidence? Is that how we started the last?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what did we say?
A little bit farther, I think. There we go. Yes, C is the one we're looking for. Except instead of elected official, do county employee. Yep.
And it's will adjourn to evaluate the complaint.
Line 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well, that's
No,
not where.
it's in line 2. It's the commission will adjourn to evaluate. There you go.
Oh, okay. In executive session, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the process outlined in here with B, I think we're going to bargain that with the unions and guilds because that's different and that could impact their employment. So once this business process is finalized, we'll be sending that out to all of our unions and guilds to bargain the impacts of this.
Okay. And then this one just ends with that extra letter D there to give the HR director, I guess, the instruction to work with the employee supervisor. And then that's it. So if people are happy with this, then does anyone want to make a motion to approve this as what we recommend for the business process?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and I agree. So there you have it.
All right.
Does anyone have anything else to say about the business process before we move on?
Nice work, Adam.
Thank you.
With regards to bargaining that, I'll have our HR director reach out and do the first 2 weeks of January. So they'll have till January 12th to respond with any issues. And then we can just send a notice to you all to let you know that, the status of it.
Okay. That sounds good. So it sounds like, well, yeah, I guess we'll just wait for that process to play out. And then after that, we'll, oh, who made the motion?
Barbara.
Barbara did. All right, well, so I think, does anyone else have anything for the good of the order? No? Okay, so we don't meet again until February 20th, which I know that sounds like a long time away, but that hopefully will give the folks at the county enough time to get, will that be enough time to sort of get that bargained? Or is that, how long a process is that going to be?
Like I said, we'll do the first 2 weeks of January, so hopefully it'll be done by January 12th. And then just as a reminder, there are 2 complaints that are pending this process. So we can actually, HR director can move forward with that once the bargaining's done and hopefully have that completed before your February 20th meeting so that you can see the 2 complaints that have been submitted already.
Okay, so what that brings up for me then is that we didn't finish the bylaws because we were waiting to see how this business process looked in final form. So I can take a stab at taking those bylaws where we were and harmonizing them with what we just decided about the business process, assuming that it's mostly, that it's not going to change that much in that bargaining process. And so does anyone think that we should try to meet before February 20th to finalize the bylaws so that we can get those complaints handled? I certainly can, if other people can. But we can also, we can also wait until the 20th. Anybody have thoughts?
I can do either. I'm fine.
I'm fine too.
All right, well then why don't we, let's see, what is it today, the 28th? Can we try to meet again on January? Oh boy, looked at my calendar here. A meeting just to talk about the bylaws on January 16th?
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that yeah, I'm free anytime that day to do a meeting for you all.
Okay.
Is that the day of a council hearing?
The
It's
council
a
meeting is
6.
yeah, it's at night.
Ah, okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, shall we say January 16th at 1 p.m.?
That works.
Okay.
All right, so I'll work on the bylaws and then get a draft out to Kristen before that meeting so that we can hit the ground running then. Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
Good. All right. Kristen, you'll send us out invites for the 16th?
Yes, I will do that shortly after we adjourn here.
All right, well, I hope that everybody had a great holiday and we'll have a wonderful new year.
Absolutely.
Thank you. You too.
All right, we'll adjourn.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
you too.
Thank you.